How's it going, everyone? In this video, I'm going to give you an update on the Tampa, Florida housing market. Home prices across Tampa have dropped significantly over the last year, and this downturn is now spreading throughout the west coast of Florida. The question is, how much more are these prices going to drop into the future, and when is going to be the best time to buy? Let's take a look at this data, everyone. So you could see home values in Tampa, which includes the entire Tampa metro, including St. Petersburg, including up north to Wesley Chapel. It's a 4 or 5 county area. Home values are down 5.6% in the last 12 months. You can see that's the biggest annual decline we've seen in the Tampa metro since 2011. So these values, they're really starting to drop. They went up by a lot during the pandemic. Now they're starting to correct. And you can see here, if we zoom in actually on this Florida home price map, that home values are actually now going down all across the state of Florida. So, Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater is down 5.6%. But we also have Northport, Bradenton, Sarasota down 8.5%. And if we go down to Punta Gorda and Cape Coral, values are down almost double digits. Values are down in Miami. They're down in Orlando. So the values are going down all across Florida. And the reason that's happening is due to a big surge of inventory in homes for sale and declining buyer demand. And, I suspect, and the data on Reventure app is suggesting that these declines are going to continue into the future because there's just so many homes piling up for sale right now. And the buyer demand is so low that it's suggesting a huge shift in the dynamics of the market, which is ultimately going to be good news for you as a home buyer or investor over the next several months, especially as we hit the winter time. You should see more deals on the market. And in a second, I'm actually going to take you through some of the listings in Hillsborough County, in Pinellas County, so you can see what's going on in the local market. But first, I just want to show you some of this data on inventory, because it is really shocking how many homes now are for sale in this area. And I know a lot of people locally here in Western Florida, they still like to be bullish on the housing market. They still like to think prices are going to go up in the future. But when you see the data on inventory, it's very clear where we are in the market right now. And where we are in the market is that in Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, the entire metro, there's 20,000 homes for sale. And if we break this down into county view, because I know a lot of you guys want to see the specific county level data, we could see there's around 6,700 homes for sale in Hillsborough, 7,900 homes for sale in Pinellas, 3,800 homes for sale in Pasco, 1,500 homes for sale in Hernando. So this is kind of the 4 county Tampa, St. Pete metro. And these areas are all really different from each other in how they are, but the consistent trend is inventory is up everywhere. So if we go to Pinellas County, we can see in Pinellas, there's almost 8,000 homes on the market in Pinellas County, when the long-term average for July is 4,500 homes. So when inventory is this high, it's telling you we're in a declining market and that prices are likely to drop more in the future. Now, if we go to Hillsborough County, we can see it's largely a similar story. Inventory is now up to 6,700 in Hillsborough. The long-term average is 4,400. So both Pinellas and Hillsborough, very kind of different areas if you were to live there. However, in both of them, inventory is through the roof. And even up now in Pasco County, where there's some nicer suburbs, some better school districts, we can see in Pasco County, inventory is also through the roof. 3,800 homes for sale compared to a long-term average of 2,200. And so ultimately, it's that inventory increase that's telling you everything you need to know as a buyer or investor about where the market is. And, locally, you could talk to realtors and mortgage brokers and investors, and they're going to say things like, all the people are still moving to Florida. They're going to say things like, oh my gosh, like DeSantis is going to eliminate property taxes, so you should buy a house now. They're going to say, all these narratives like, oh, the Fed's going to cut interest rates. Like, they're going to say all these narratives to you to try to tell you about why you should buy now. In reality, what you should do if you're a serious buyer investor is look at the data to inform yourself on where this market is and where this market is heading in the future. And I think one reason why inventory is up so much and demand is down so much is because this area just became too expensive. Buying a house in Tampa or St. Pete just became too expensive the last 4 or 5 years. And let's just get a sense of this. Like if we go on Zillow right now and we look at what's for sale in this area. What do we see? And let's actually start kind of in my neck of the woods in St. Petersburg. I'm actually streaming live right now from St. Petersburg. You could see if we zoom in here, we go to historic Uptown, which is a nicer neighborhood, everyone, but we have a 3-bed, 4-bath house, 1,500 square feet, on the market for $850,000, which is $568 a foot. And you could see this is just really expensive. If you were to buy this house with a mortgage, you'd be paying $7,000 a month. Let's take a look at its listings history. We could see, the peak price was $968. It's gone down. It's gone down in value. It's its lowest value estimate in over 3 years, but it's still way above the value estimate pre-pandemic. And this house sold for $359,000 in 2014. So this seller is trying to make 137% appreciation over 11 years when mortgage rates are 6.5% and the prices are too high and the demand is down. So you still have a lot of sellers who are coming to market at high prices, and a lot of buyers, I think, are discouraged about that. Let's see some other houses. Like we have a townhouse here in Pinellas County for $789,000. This is 3-bed, 4-bath, 1,955 square feet. Folks, these are price points that just the average person in Florida, the average family, cannot afford. Price points like this. 3-bed, 4-bath, 1,955 square feet, $789,000. So this has been on the market for 14 days, has 200 views, 14 saves. Let's take a look at the listings history. Well, we can see this townhouse actually, oh boy, take a look at this, everyone. It sold for $860,000 in October 2023. And now it's listed for $789,000. So I guess, was this a new build? It was a new build in 2022. So they bought it for $860,000 in 2023, and now they're listing it at a $70,000 loss. So this is a seller, to their credit, who actually understands that the market has gone down and is actually taking a loss on the house. Some sellers in this market in Florida still refuse to take losses and will just have their houses sit. Other sellers know where the market is and are pricing below what they bought it for. The issue is, though, this zip code, everyone, 33712, and I'm going to just do some analysis now on ReVenture so, you guys can understand how to use ReVenture to actually help you understand the market and get a better deal on a house. So 33712, okay, this is actually kind of like a big zip code here. Now, over the last year, the values here are down 8.7% in this zip code. It's a big drop. It's a big drop. Now, our home price forecast for this zip code is minus 9.7% the next 12 months. So we're down 8.7% already, according to data from Zillow on ReVenture. ReVenture is now saying we're going to go down another 9.7% over the next 12 months. That is saying that if that forecast comes to fruition, the total correction is going to be close to 20%. So if you are buying in this zip code and you're looking at homes for sale in this zip code, as a buyer or investor, you should anticipate there could be future declines. Additionally, if you're a seller, you should anticipate there could be future declines and price your house realistically as if this market is going to continue to drop. Because if we look at the number of homes for sale in this zip code, oh my goodness, we went from 74 homes for sale last year to 125 homes for sale this year. That's inventory that is absolutely through the roof. We have inventory through the roof. We have days on market well above the long-term average. We have price cut rate at a record inventory, above average DOM, record price cuts. How are home sales doing in this zip code? Oh man, home sales have plummeted, everyone, to the second lowest level in the last 13 years. So, and I'm going to do more examples like this as the video goes on, but if you're a Florida home buyer, right, and you want to know where the market's heading in your area, look at those data points: inventory, price cut rate, days on market, home sales. If the inventory is up and the DOM's up and the price cut rate's up and the home sales are plummeting, there's a good shot that prices are going to continue to drop. And we take that data at ReVenture and we put it into our price forecast score, which is going to help you as a buyer, better understand the market. But, I just think any buyer or investor right now in Florida's housing market, you have to be looking at the data, because we're in this volatile market where prices are already dropping. And I'm talking to a lot of friends down here, and, the question is like, should I buy now or should I wait another year? That's what a lot of people are asking themselves down here in Florida, down here in Tampa and St. Pete. Well, you can answer that question better for yourself if you look at the data. And in fact, if the data says prices are going to drop another 9%, that doesn't mean don't buy now. That means you could actually get aggressive on your offers for different houses, right? Like you could go on Zillow and look in zip codes where we have big downward forecasts. And you could start thinking to yourself, maybe, just maybe, I should make offers anticipating that decline, and then maybe give that data to the seller and the listings agent and say, this is why I'm making this offer. I love your house. This is a great listing. I really want to own it. I really want to buy it, but I'm concerned about the market. Here's the data. And we're actually finding that some people on Reventure app who are using this tool are actually able to negotiate below market transactions and get discounts. But overall, is it a good time to buy in Florida's housing market right now? And what's going to happen over the next year? Like we keep hearing these things about property taxes, right? There's these rumors now that Florida might try to eliminate property taxes. Is that going to bring buyers back? The Fed's going to cut interest rates starting in September, it looks like, and might cut rates 2 or 3 times by the end of 2025. Is that going to bring buyers back? Should that prompt you to go buy a house? Basically like, is the Fed or is the governor of Florida going to pull a rabbit out of the hat and save Florida's housing market? Well, no one knows, the answer to that question for sure. Everyone, anything can happen in the future. But the best you can do as a home buyer in Florida is arm yourself with the knowledge and the data. And I think what kind of is interesting to me, folks, is how much this market has actually shifted down over the last year. So, when I moved to Florida a year ago, prices in Pinellas County, typical value was 405,000. Now it's 374,000. So the people who were watching my channel a year ago when I moved to Florida and I was warning you about what was going to happen, and you waited, well, you saved $30,000 by waiting for the typical house. According to the data from Zillow, typical house has gone from 405 to 374 in Pinellas County. Values in Pinellas have dropped 7.7% in the last year. In Hillsborough, it hasn't been as bad. They've dropped 4.4%. In Pasco, they've dropped 5.5%. In Hernando, they've dropped 3.8%. And folks, I'm actually live right now. So if you guys want to give some comments or some requests for me to cover certain data, let me know. And I can cover that in this video. I am live, so give your requests. But, in terms of where this market is heading in the future, we can see there's big declines here on the west coast of Florida, right? I mean, Sarasota's down 9.6%, Punta Gorda's down 11.7%, Lee County, Cape Coral's down 9.5%, Collier County's down 7.3%, and Naples. The declines are everywhere already. Palm Beach County is now down 5.2%. I just saw an article talking about how Palm Beach County is booming. It's not booming. Values are dropping there. And so, I can see there's actually only a couple areas in Florida, Okeechobee County, Hardy County, up towards Suwannee County. Only a couple counties in Florida where prices are still going up. But I think one important thing to understand, right, is with this idea that values are probably going to keep dropping in the future, is that there's huge differences by neighborhood and zip code. There's huge differences by neighborhood and zip code. And there's still some areas in the Tampa metro that are performing, I'm not going to call it good, but that are performing better. There's some pockets of resilience where prices are not dropping as much as you would have expected. Maybe they're flat year over year. Maybe they're only down by 1%. The inventory isn't as high. And so what I'm going to do now is just cover some of those areas so you guys understand where the pockets of resilience are in the West Coast housing market here in Florida and in Tampa. And so what we're going to do here is go to Reventure app, everyone, and you could do this after the video. And I'm going to type in a town called Lutz. I believe it's pronounced Lutz. I never actually fully got the correct pronunciation. Is it Lutz? Is it Lutz? I think it's Lutz. If you're local, you can let me know. But you can see in the zip code near Lutz, values are only down 1% in the last year. So this is actually like the best performing zip code pretty much in the whole metro. Values are only down 1%. If you go to table view on Reventure app, you can actually You can actually sort. It looks like there's a zip code in Brooksville that's only down 0.6%. But you can actually sort all the zip codes, and then you can sort the market rankings by price growth. You can see there's some zips in St. Petersburg where values are down anywhere from 12 to 17% over the last 12 months. So huge variation in the same metro. Some zip codes down 17%, some zip codes only down 1%. You're going to want to understand that if you're a buyer or investor. Like, what's happening in my area? Is my zip code down? And how much is it down? But I just want to zoom in more, and let's change it to our home price forecast here for Lutz. And you can actually see our home price forecast for this zip code 33548 is actually we're forecasting prices to go up over the next year in this zip code. So our home price forecast, it has gone down for this area from what it used to be, but we're actually still forecasting what's called stable prices in 33548. And the reason is actually, everyone, because if we look at the components, recent appreciation, days on market, mortgage rates, inventory, price cuts, the actual technical indicators in this market are decent. Inventory is still below pre-pandemic norms. Days on market is still below pre-pandemic norms. And price cuts are pretty high, actually. But price cuts are high, but DOM is low, inventory is low. So you have this situation where inventory is low, DOM is low, price cuts are above average, but net, this area still has demand. It still is a semi-shortage of homes, so prices are still going to go up. And this is where the data really is going to help you as a buyer and investor, right? We're not saying values are going to drop everywhere on Reventure app. We're saying there's some areas where there is a crash actually playing out already and will continue to play out. There's other areas that are more resilient. And it's imperative that you as a buyer and investor just understand that data for your market. Now, I just want to quickly talk about demand. Let's just talk about demand for a second, because this narrative, right, that all the people are moving to Western Florida, everyone's moving to Tampa, everyone's moving to St. Pete and buying homes. I still hear locals repeating that narrative, but let's just look at the data on home sales. How many home sale transactions are taking place? Well, during the peak of the pandemic, there was 7,400 home sales in the Tampa St. Pete metro in July 2020. That's now down to 4,300 home sales. So the demand has gone down about 45%, 40% from peak. And we're down about, what is that? 20 to 25% from average. So we're at the second lowest level of demand in 13 years in Tampa St. Pete, whereas the inventory is at the highest level in a decade. So make no mistake, everyone, this is a correcting market. Values are likely to continue to drop. The question is just by how much, and what's your zip code look like? To find out the answers to that question, go to Reventure app. That's been the tool that I've been using throughout this program. I created Reventure app to help you guys as home buyers and investors better understand the market, better understand where things are heading. You can go to www.reventure.app. The best way to get started on Reventure app is to just type in your city or zip code and start searching for the data. So for free, you can look at inventory and sale inventory growth, home value, and home value growth. But what you're really going to want to do is unlock the 12-month price forecast for your zip code and also look at the overvaluation rate for your zip code. These metrics are available under a premium plan. The cost is $49 a month, and ultimately, this data is going to help you save money as a home buyer and investor and make a more educated decision, get a better discounted purchase potentially, and also find the areas that are going to be best for long-term growth. Go to www.reventure.com